Cougars is presented by Flat Stick Pub. Local craft beer, old school fun, memorable moments. Welcome into Talkin Cougars, the final episode of our inaugural season here. And boy, what a season it was, full of ups and downs. I'm former Washington State quarterback Alex Brink, joined by former wide receiver Michael Bumpus. Bump, it was a season of highs, it was a season of lows. Not just for us here on the show, man, but also on the field for the Cougs. It was fun overall, though. I tell you what, I really enjoyed it, man. There's a lot going on heading into this offseason.
Yeah, crazy season. Ranked as high as 13 and weren't ranked at all at some point this season. We saw this offense look really good. Cam Ward doing his thing as well. We got lots to do on this show, and I'm excited, man. Last one of the year. Now it's time for Talking Numbers, presented by Cross Country Mortgage, making every mortgage feel like a win. All right, man, let's talk these numbers. And I think you always got to start at the quarterback, especially in this offense. Before we get to the bad news when it comes to Cam, right, let's talk about what he did this year. And top 5 passer in the country. And in a conference where you had a few other guys who were throwing the football, and Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, you got Michael Penix and Bo Nix over there. And our guy, Fafita, came along late, too, for Arizona over there, bear down. So it was an interesting year, but Cam Ward gave this team reason to believe that they were going to be able to compete, and they did that early in the season, man. I think eventually it tapered off a little bit, but Cam Ward was special this year. Had over 3,000 yards, 3,700 plus yards, 25 touchdowns, took care of the football. It was fun to see the maturation of this young man throughout the year, B.
I thought got better from his junior year here to his senior year. Offense coordinator Ben Arbuckle, I think, really helped Cam Ward. And when Cam was at his best, Washington State was at their best and had a chance to win every time they were on the field. And you mentioned it, some ups and downs, but overall, Cam Ward was a bright spot for this team. And, the reality is some injuries at the wide receiver and tight end position hurt in the middle of the year. You just flat out couldn't run the football most of the year. So puts a lot of pressure on a quarterback. So kudos to Cam, keeping his head up, being a fabulous leader all year, and really growing. And to your point, top 5 in passing in the country. And that's kind of what Ben Arbuckle as a coordinator was billed as, right? Western Kentucky, they're leading the country in passing. He comes in and Cougars are able to do the same thing. And, I think the benefit there, right, is that you do have a coordinator that's going to find a way to make the quarterback position productive, because as we found out here in the last week or 10 days, Cam Ward's going to be moving on. He's getting big opportunities in the transfer portal through NIL, and he's got a chance to go to some big places, maybe Ohio State, maybe Oregon, maybe Texas A&M, Miami, who knows, right? It's going to be big, though, and he's earned that, and I'm excited for him. I'm proud that he was a Coug, but now it's time to look forward and see, who's going to be the next signal caller for Washington State at QBU.
Yeah, and whoever it is, they're going to have opportunities to throw the football. Again, I'm going to second what you said. I'm proud of Cam. I'm happy for him. You go out, you get your money, and you go out there and ball out. But I also want to give a shout out to the receivers. First time in school history, B, you got 3 receivers over 800 yards. You got Kelly with 923, Victor with 860. You have Williams with 842. So not only did they throw the ball across the yard, they distributed the football as well. And we saw a lot of plays being made by the guys on the outside. So overall, I think the offense was missing a running game this year. At times, it did just enough to win some ball games. But on the perimeter, man, you toss it any direction, they have guys who are going to come down with the football.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a couple of those guys are moving on also. Lincoln Victor is going to graduate, maybe take a shot at the NFL, go through the draft process. And we also found out, in the transfer portal news that Josh Kelly is going to look for other opportunities as well. And you mentioned it, over 900 yards receiving, led the team in yardage, 8 touchdowns, led the team in touchdowns. He was incredibly productive, but he was a transfer from Fresno State. So, when you think about it, it kind of cuts both ways, right? He earned an opportunity potentially to move on, but you could probably go find somebody else in the transfer portal that could also be productive potentially. And there's guys on the roster, right? You talked about Kyle Williams, how productive he was this year already, and some young guys out there also. When you think about Leighton Smithson, who played as a true freshman, then he returned the kickoff this year at the end of the season against Colorado for a touchdown. So he'll probably get back in the mix. Orion Peters was in the mix, in 2022 and didn't play much this year. There's guys on the roster, right? Zion Nunnally, big body. And so I think the Cougs are in an okay spot receiver-wise. Probably got to go get a guy or two, but that's kind of the nature of this world we're living in these days.
Yeah, that's what it is, right? Guys are going to transfer, going to take opportunities, and you got to just make the most of the situation when you do have them. And I have complete confidence in Coach Dickert and the gang over there that they're just going to reload, man. That's the name of the game. It's a crazy place to be in when it comes to college football, but that's just what it is. You can't fault these young men for going out and trying to explore all of their resources and opportunities. So good luck to everybody, man. Offensively, it was a great year for these Cougs.
Yeah, and you think about that offense bump compared to last year, right? Averaged under 30 points per game, considerably more productive this year in total yards per game and points per game. So it was a real improvement, I think, offensively. And a couple of those guys got recognized in the all-league list. Cam Ward, Lincoln Victor on the honorable mention all-pack, which is a kudos to them. And the big one, though, for Washington State was Brennan Jackson, who had a fantastic year defensively. Second-team all-pack, very well-deserving, along with Jaden Hicks and R.J. Stone on the honorable mention side. But, you know, the defense had its moments this year. I would say those two edge rushers, Jackson and Stone, really held up their end of the bargain. I think they were productive all year, had some huge moments, sack fumbles, touchdowns. When you talk about Brennan Jackson, they were really all over the field, and it felt like made a big difference. So, you know, that'll be something that Coug defense really needs to replace, but, you know, there's definitely some depth there.
Yeah, big ups to Brennan Jackson, man. Second team all Pac-12. Had his last game at Martin Stadium and did his thing with some scoop and scores over there, some strip sacks and all that. Great way to go out. I remember how we went out, B. It wasn't like that. We were on the other side of a bad game, man. But yeah, this defense struggled at times, but they also made plays. You know, the second half of the Apple Cup, coming out that drive by Penix and getting that interception by Hicks, getting into the backfield with Stone. It seemed like even though the numbers don't match up with it, every level on that defense took their chance and had their opportunities out there and made plays at times. So even though it started off great and ended rough, man, even if you look at the schedule and you see the wins and the losses, there's always great individual performances. So I'm not surprised at all that Brennan Jackson was recognized as second team all Pac-12. I was pretty much expecting it. So, yeah, big up to the defense. And, again, you got a defensive coach over there in Jake Dickert. So he's going to be on the road recruiting all across the West, the Midwest, and East and trying to replace these guys. Because like we mentioned before, that's just the name of the game. Always be recruiting, always be trying to get better. But I appreciate what Brennan Jackson did for that defense this year.
Yeah, it's an interesting year in the sense that I think it's a real learning year for some of the young players on the entire team, offense, defense, special teams. They can learn from guys like Brennan Jackson and R.J. Stone about, you know, when to play that complementary football. And if you do get a big sack fumble or you get a big turnover, the offense has got to step up and keep the foot on the gas and go score, right? And that's really what tripped up Washington State at times this year is offense would be playing well and defense wouldn't play well, or vice versa. And they were at their best when all three phases were executing on the same page. I really think that Jake Dickert and the staff is going to be able to get the team in that position heading into next season. I think there's no doubt about it. Coming up, we're going to take a look at some of the guests that joined us this year in our Coug Spotlight. Talkin Cougars is presented by Flat Stick Pub. Let's take a look at our Coug Spotlight presented by Cougs First. Think Cougs First for products, services, and hiring. Well, the season has come to an end and there's been a lot of great performances. Who are you shining the spotlight on, Bump, from looking back on this season?
Man, we had a lot of really good guests on this show, be the very first season of Talkin Cougars. I'm going to shine the light on them, man. Here's some of those great moments.
Nothing better than being around a bunch of Cougs supporting one another.
Just the connection we've built, you know, over the years.
I mean, we're wearing the same colors. We're winning as a team.
Cougs, come on now. Yeah, Cougs. We're not equivocating. There's no wavering.
It is absolutely where I belong.
This is Cougar country.
All of us have something to prove.
We are a force.
And we got to lift each other and pick each other up and have each other's back.
You can't make it about anything outside of that locker room.
Those are your brothers.
We just always keep that chip on our shoulder.
I think it just made us into two better men and better teammates and better leaders.
Be passionate with who the hell you are.
I mean, at my core, that's who I am and what I love.
Holding each other accountable to that standard, I think, is really important.
Made me grow up into a man.
Hopefully it's a stepping stone in our journey.
Have fun with what you love doing.
And they have zero zero in what they're doing. There's zero doubt in their mind that they're about to execute, so they're just flying around.
I read the energy when I'm down there.
So the building's brewing right now.
You can't ever take for granted the energy that our fans provide the team.
You just feel a certain type of energy brewing.
And that's true in every game.
You just felt it in that moment, and it was real, and it was passionate, and it was authentic.
I feel like I'm in it.
So many different emotions that are streaming through you.
We love playing at home.
But I could go on for about 30 minutes telling you everything I love about it.
Love it.
You know, I'm fighting for Cougs everywhere, and I'm fighting for this team, and I'm fighting for this coaching staff.
You know, going to Washington State means something.
Gotta go see what the Cougs gonna do.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
What a fantastic group of Cougs we had on Talkin Cougars this year. Every one of them full of Cougar pride. It was fun to have Cam Ward come on, his final season as a Coug. We certainly wish him the best. How about Jack Thompson? He made it so clear what we need to do as Cougs to support this program. Fun having him on it. Everybody that joined us, Bump, we were lucky, man. Lucky to have them, lucky to be a part of the Coug family and have everybody join us.
Yeah, man, support from day one. You mentioned Jack Thompson. Let's throw Coach Dickert in there as well. Whatever we asked from WSU football, man, they provided. So it really just shows the camaraderie and the love that we got over there in the Palouse, man. And coming up next, we're going to review our favorite moments from this year of Talkin Cougars. That's next. Talkin Cougars is presented by Flat Stick Pub. Welcome back to Talkin Cougars, man. And speaking of Flat Stick Pub, one of my favorite moments is when we did that live shoot, the Oregon Ducks week. Man, let's roll that tape. What's up? We are live from Flat Stick Pub in Redmond, Washington. I am Michael Buckles, getting ready to go. I'm with my quarterback, Alex Spring. What's up, B?
Man, Bump, I tell you what, buddy, this crowd's got some energy behind us. We're having fun with it.
We're all up in the mix, B.
Cougs are in the building. We got the whole crowd with us. What do you guys think? We need to get the dogs in. Can I pick them up?
Right? I wish I can hold him. Hey, we got the dog in the bag, baby. Got the young pup, B.
What a fun time up at Flat Stick Pub. So thankful from the whole crew at Flat Stick. Thankful we got to go on the road, take the show on the road. We had all the fans there, even our furry friends joined us. It was a great night to be a Coug there, I tell you what. And I'm just thankful, Bump, that our fabulous producer, Sean, kept some clips of us putting because, boy, did I give you the business on that putt-putt course in the pub there.
Hey, you know what? You got a better handicap. You're supposed to get me. You know, I drive for show. You putt for dough, I drive for show. But man, that was was awesome, man. It was live in there. Big ups to Andy Largent and the squad over there at Flat Stick Pub in a Coug-owned business. If you get a chance, go check them out. They got a bunch of locations. But yeah, man, that was great. We needed to get away from our offices and around the Coug Nation, around the people, and feel that love.
Yeah, that's one thing I found doing this show, man. Talkin Cougars. It was well received. It's fun to go out and do it live. Can't wait to do more of those next year. There's no doubt about it. And it's time now for our best bet, brought to you by Northern Quest Resort and Casino, largest casino in the Northwest. We had ourselves a heck of a start to the season, 4-0, beating the Oregon State Beavers at home. And a part of that week, we made a bet with the crew over at Talkin Beavers that they had to cash in on. Check out the tape here. Talkin Beavs crew, they're calling in.
Hat in hand to tell you congratulations.
Tip of the hat.
We had to get y'all in some crimson.
I'm able to pay off the bet, I hope, in an acceptable way.
Tell you what, Mike, that's two good football teams.
These two teams have risen.
The Beavers fought and battled.
Not gonna lie, a little nervous at the end.
You weren't even wearing crimson and gray uniforms, and you still got us.
Sorry for your loss, but we still love y'all.
We are the Pac-2.
The camaraderie there, guys.
It's very much arm in arm.
They are now the ones in the pack who are pushing each other.
Unprecedented circumstances for these two great institutions.
Crazy to see the crimson and the orange just hanging out. Man, that was cool seeing our mascots hug it out there at the end, man. The Pac-2, it was real this year. We have to play each other. That was the unfortunate part. But throughout this year, Oregon State and WSU have been united, man. They're trying to take us down, but they're not going to wipe us out. And we appreciate the folks over there with Talkin Beavs accepting the challenge and then paying up, because I know that might have been hard to do. But in the end of the day, it's all love, man. Pac-2 was a good season.
Yeah, Pac-2, it's been a strange journey so far. Looking forward to the future, though, for both schools. There's no doubt it's fun to jump on talking Huskies, also talking Ducks. Games didn't quite go our way, but it's fun that all the shows get to share those moments together. Coming up, we're going to take a look at the recent announcement about the schedule for Washington State for next year. Talkin Cougars is presented by Flat Stick Pub. Time now for our final drive, brought to you by Valley Buick GMC. See you in the Valley. Well, we made it, Bump. It's the final segment of our inaugural season of Talkin Cougars. And we got to talk about the recent news of the schedule being released, the scheduling alliance between the Pac-2 and the Mountain West Conference. It looks like right now that Washington State and Oregon State are going to play 6 teams from the Mountain West Conference in a scheduling alliance, along with anybody they've already scheduled for the 2024 season in their non-conference schedule, which for Washington State happens to be 2 Mountain West Conference teams. So although it hasn't been released yet, looks like Washington State will play 2 Mountain West Conference teams in non-conference, an FCS opponent in non-conference, then the 6 Mountain West schools, and then you probably fill the rest in with Washington, which has already been announced with the September Apple Cup, and a game against Oregon State, and then probably one more FBS school, potentially Texas Tech, which has been batted around, who's currently an Oregon opponent in 2024.
Yeah, I look at the schedule, and I'm not disappointed, man, honestly. There's some good football over there in the Mountain West, and I hope we get the best of the best because it's an opportunity for Washington State to prove to the country once again, like, look, you play some good football over here, and you get that Apple Cup tradition. Man, I was worried about that. I wasn't sure about how I was going to feel about whether they should play or not. But at the end of the day, whenever you have a chance to play against the guys in the purple, you're going to take it. So we're going to get to see exactly how this team can bounce back and what level of football they're going to be at, because that's what Walter's going to have to do year in and year out. Bounce back and replenish either the receiving corps, offensive line, defensive line, and kind of go up against these Mountain West schools and see what they have to offer as well. It's almost like we're dating for a year, right? We're going to date for a year, see if we like each other, mix in some Power 4, Power 5 type schools, and devise a plan from there. And I think that's the right way to go. And Oregon State's going to be doing the same.
There's no doubt. And look, I think Washington State and Oregon State are in a fantastic position. And maybe I'm in the minority here, but I think the reality is things are going to keep changing, right? Florida State gets left out of the college football playoff when they're undefeated, and nobody is happy over at the ACC about that. And you're already hearing rumblings about changes in that conference. That's going to start a whole nother round of realignment. And Washington State and Oregon State are technically free agents, right? You got this 1-year deal with the Mountain West in the scheduling alliance, but you're not locked into anything long term. You could change things in 2025 if you want. And here's the most important thing, Bump. With the college football playoff expanding to 12 teams, right, and the Pac-2 still being able to be qualify for an at-large berth into that 12-team playoff, if you run the table and go undefeated or maybe have one loss and are ranked high enough, you might be able to sneak into the college football playoff. So that's not off the table. So to me, especially if Washington State and Oregon State get some money from the Pac-12 settlement that's happening in the courts right now, you have the freedom of scheduling. You mentioned it. You're playing Washington. They're probably going to be ranked. You're playing Oregon State. They'll probably be ranked. And then you're potentially playing another FBS school. And look, 2 or 3 of those Mountain West schools will be ranked at some point during the season. You have a chance to really make some noise. Now, you got to go win football games, right? And you got to play between the white lines. But Washington State is in a fantastic spot, in my personal opinion, to go play great football and accomplish all the goals that they want to accomplish.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up. It's because they have options at the end of this year. You're not locked in to anything, and you still get the best of both worlds. You get to try out a conference that you might want to be a part of, or you might want to bring teams over if you do win your case, yet you still get to play against some really good football when you play against Oregon State and Washington and possibly Texas Tech. So I agree with you 100%. It's unfortunate what's happening, but the timing of it actually works out better for WSU and Oregon State because of what you mentioned, especially with the college football playoff expanding to 12 teams. So you always got to find a positive. Like if you're going to be negative during this whole thing, then good luck to you. I wouldn't want to be it because we just got to look forward and be present, be in this moment. And that's the present, that's the moment. Still opportunities to go do everything that you could have done if the Pac-12 Conference stayed together. So I'm with you 100%, my man.
And think about some of these other schools. You could be Oregon or Washington going and playing in the Big Ten and trying to get in the playoff that way. Or you could be Cal and Stanford and you're in the ACC, and who knows what's going to happen to that conference. And oh, by the way, you're not going to walk back into the Pac-12 or the Pac-2 or 4 or whatever it's called, because that ship has already sailed. So
Right.
Again, Washington State and Oregon State, to me, man, are in a really good spot.
Yeah, Cal and Stafford are gonna be like, look, we just got here. What y'all doing blowing this
What are
thing
you
up?
doing?
We
Break it
just
up?
got here. Oh man, well, you know what? I think that's gonna do it for us, B. Man, it's been a great season. I'm glad we got together to do this. I want to give a big shout out, man, to the guy behind the scenes. You guys don't see him, but he's a big part of what we're doing. That's Sean Stoll. He's our producer, our editor. He does a whole bunch of stuff for us. Jordan Kent as well, and his production company. The season's over for us when it comes to college football. With me, if you follow me on Twitter, MichaelBumpus5, you get more content. I'm still doing Seahawks stuff on Sundays. Make sure you're tuning there. And then Seattle Sports, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every single day. I will be on, but as far as talking Cougars, man, that's going to be it for me here.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing everybody next year. You can find me on Twitter at AlexSpring10, always down to talk some ball. I'll be doing the spring game with Matt Chasnow and Jessamine McIntyre in April. Other than that, you won't hear me on the radio. You can catch me on my day job. If you got a young athlete in the Portland metro area or Oregon, check out e4sports.com. We work with young athletes, all sports, all ages, helping them reach their goals and improve and give better. Thank you, Coug Nation. Talkin Cougars Season 1 is a wrap. We'll be back for Year 2. Excited to have you all along the journey with us. Go Cougs.